So, welcome back to our next session. And so this next session is about our network and the progress we've made over the last years. So as many of you might know, the last period of time, our network has substantially grown, matured. We are more able to deliver things to our members and to our community. But first of all, I think I should say hello to all family again. As I always say, I feel that even though we don't meet so often, we are a broad and dynamic family. So I'm really happy every time to see you back here. But also, I want to talk to you a bit about the team, which has been helping and facilitating for the last years all our needs and also helping in the growth and development. So I would like to thank, to begin with, for the tremendous amount of work, our board, and I think if they're present here, some of them are. Rita Cortes, where are you? Stand up, come on, don't be shy. Where's Rita? Yep. Okay, Atilim is somewhere with us there. Atilim, thank you. Ivan is also here with us today. Yep. Unfortunately, Luca is not with us, but he's following through the streaming session, so he's virtually with us. And of course, Wolf. Where is Mr. Wolf, the Wolf? We lost him, okay. He was somewhere around. And of course, again, Ben couldn't be here today with us because the good development for him is that his hub is catching up and is going great after the pandemic situation. So we're really happy about it, and he has to focus into that. And also, if you notice, we now have also a full team of staff helping in the project's implementation and in our everyday needs. And this is great because up to last year, I should remind you that there was no permanent staff within our network. So this is amazing, and they're amazing people, and they have putting tremendous efforts every day to facilitate again all the changes that we've been going through in order to grow and develop our network. So Davide already presented, and he's project managing also the network. So he's, where's Davide? We lost him again, okay. So it's our community manager, Rita. Rita, where's Rita? Okay, we lost everyone, you see, after food. No, I think they're preparing some things for us. So Rita is our dynamic community manager and is the person that you can address to every day for everything you need, but she's also coordinating all the events and all the joint meetings that we're doing. And of course, it's Natasha, Anais, Andrei, and Alexandros, which is the core team in the Athens offices. So part of the team is here, and they're doing great efforts every day to facilitate the 11 EU programs that we are currently running. So really thank you guys. I really appreciate your efforts and work to make our community thrive. And so I want to really talk to you about something that we take as granted, what we are. And this is not so granted. I mean, so what is a creative hub? Usually what I say to people, I mean to friends, is I have no idea. That's the usual answer that I give to friends. But we have we have been trying for a while to define with something like a short paragraph what we are. So I will read through and then we will go through the specifics. So a creative hub is a place, either physical or virtual, which brings creative people together. It's a convener providing space and support for networking, business development, and community engagement with the creative, cultural, and tech sectors. Hubs may differ in size, shape, and focus of activities, but all of them produce cultural and creative value for their local ecosystems and the wider creative ecosystem. This is like the very first definition that we created, and we have been adapting this definition from time to time. But the important bit and what always stays the same is the reason of existence and why do we exist. And we need to remember that we are there for our communities, we are there to provide support for our members and for our beneficiaries or our families, our close families, and of course to facilitate research in all relative matters, and of course to open up the topics into wider audiences, but also always to promote new talents and new skills and all the amazing people that makes us. So that's the most important bit. So really briefly, now we are taught from a rather really small structure to a really big. So we say that we come in all different shapes and sizes and can be described in many different ways: collectives, cooperatives, labs, incubators, and we can be static, mobile, or online. So let's see some of the forms that we are aware of. So here you can see like different specific forms. So like studios, so we have like cases where we are like an open collective of a small group of creative people, an informal structure, sharing office sometimes, and that's pretty much it. Or we can be like a large scale, similar to a cultural center, but also hosting a community, which is the different. We can be a specific cluster, we can be an online platform, of course we can be dispersed over a neighborhood or wider. So we have so many different forms, and that's really exciting and really good, because we can achieve different things. But we have to be, as a community, as a network, we have to be able to facilitate our differences, and that's something that we are also facing as a challenge at all times. So I think that it's really important to talk a bit about the legal structure usually, because it's so different again. So we are any kind of entity. We can be for profit or not for profit. We can be a private, we can be a social venture, we can be something like a charitable venture, so anything at all. And then about sectors, what to say about sectors. We identify all the CCS sectors, and I think that most of the hubs today kind of facilitate every single sector. So interdisciplinarity is really vivid within hubs. But of course, you have all kinds of sectors covered, which is really good. But you have some hubs that also kind of focus and specialize, which is also something great. And I will get back to this at a later stage. And of course, all the hubs have special offerings and services for their members. And sometimes the services keep failing, or we are co-working spaces, and we're not, or we are. But that's not important. The important thing is that we are building communities, live communities, dynamic communities, and we live with them and we grow with them. And that's really important, I think, and it's within the DNA of every single one of us. And that's amazing. But talking about creative hubs, I have been struggling to understand also where we come from and the history of cultural structures. And by reading through a bit, I understood. And so I think like around the 50s, this kind of period of time, local governments established big institutions, which are now called museums. So museums are usually, we have a definition here, and I think it's really important. It's their official a definition from NEMO, which is their network, and we are closely working together. So they say that the museum is a not-for-profit making permanent institution in the service of society and of its development, and open to the public, which acquires, conserves, research purposes. That's not what defines a creative hub. So it's really important to think about our DNA and what differentiates us, because what I like to say is that we are the new type of cultural structures. We are coming today and we are bringing difference to our relevant sectors and industries. So this is not our definition, but I try to replicate their way of talking and defining themselves in order to see a creative culture and creative professionals. So they're not just showcasing, they're part of our internal structure, and that's really important. A creative hub can be neighborhood, community arts organizations, private facilities, government-sponsored, or activist-run. Again, as who does that is not so different. And of course, by being a hub, friends, and we should kind of advocate for that difference. We should promote that difference. And also, we should work for that difference. And we should keep that in our minds, I think is really important. So one other aspect that for me is really important and makes us again different, it's something that is again taken for granted. Usually when you're talking about cultural structures, you see in the wording itself, there's an issue. They just mention higher culture. So like fine arts, performing arts, and that's the main context and content. And usually that's not the case for us. Activity from sectors to the creative sectors. So we have the full spectrum, and that's something again that's completely different, and it's something that usually it's a taboo, you know, especially for the cultural sector. It's really often unusual that they don't like the incorporation of like the design or even like programming, really simple stuff that are part of our members and our everyday life. So I think that we have to have in our minds really clear what brings us together, because we are not competing with the other cultural structures. We are part of an ecosystem, of a united ecosystem, but we have important differences, and we have to have it clear whenever we interact. But let's discuss a bit about the ecosystem and where usually we are placed. Because I think that where we exist and where we kind of grow is really important. So let's have a look at the landscape. So where does a creative hub sit? So it's in between of an ecosystem, a place, a location, however you want to imagine it, and cultural and creative sectors and industries, and education in general. So we sit in between of something that is kind of static, maybe, and is already there, and something more dynamic, like the new production of things and ideas and content system looks like. So any ecosystem that you are trying to understand has some specificities, like, for example, a certain specific ecology. So just to explain the term to begin with, I have combined many definitions here to come up with one that fits best. Cultural and creative sectors operate within ecosystems. Cultural ecology focuses on how cultural beliefs and practices help human populations adapt to their environments and live within the means of their ecosystem. So this is a map of where we live. So we have certain specificities. Sorry. Yep, it's me. Yep, apologies. Thank you very much. So here it is. In the center, we have the specificities of where we live. And of course, there are several things like the heritage, the things that define the place we live in. But again, it's really important also defining what heritage is. So I had several discussions with Luigi Sacco, which is a really known expert in heritage, and we came up with this definition. So it's the core catalyst for innovation, a repository of ideas, languages, experiences, and artworks that inspire the new generation of creators and refresh our understanding of the world and create scene a catalyst for imagining change and belonging as a dynamic relationship with what we already know, but from a new angle. So we are trying to describe heritage as something dynamic. There are different things. I mean, a place can have characteristics that have to do with some specific profession, for example, that existing in the area for a long time. And I know that this is really often in many hubs that are here today. Or they have land characteristics. Some are closer to the sea, and they relate their activities to the blue economy. Some are in the edges of Europe, so they're exposed to immigration and these kind of topics. So there are some specificities that define, that are coming from where the hubs are located. But wherever we are, there are some things that are always there and always exist. And to begin with, of course, is the core cultural expression everywhere we live. I mean, here today we are in LaVallee, it's a lively place. You should ask and walk around. They have offices with many creative people. And of course, in Belgium, arts, literature, theater, music are really vivid. And also there's a heritage in this kind of expressions. So it's everywhere around us. And then of course, around that, in a wider kind of spectrum, we have all the creative sectors and industries. So we have all the production and everything that help us kind of survive and make a living in the modern world, and all the relative stuff. So to begin with, we have all the structures that facilitate all those kind of core cultural expressions. We have like the museums, the theaters, we have all those kind of relevant structures. And then you have the people that make the things happen. So you have like designers, architects, fashion designers, all kinds of designers actually, all kinds of creative people. You have journalists. Journalists are part of our ecosystem and also is one of the subsectors that we often forget. Writers of all kinds. So all those people are scattered around a certain landscape. And it's alive, I tell you, it's alive. So it's like a living organism. And even though they seem scattered around, they relate somehow. It's not so apart. They need to interconnect. And who will have this role in our modern society? I think that we are the ones that should have that role. Hubs should be the organizations that interconnect all those kind of levels of expression and activity and all the heritage that comes with that, and make one fabric, one united idea, and then of course to make them grow and make them change. Because change, you know, people are redundant. I mean, they don't like change. But change is really important. It's something that we hate, but also defines us. So we have also to incorporate everyday education, and I think that that's what we do, but we forget why we do it. We do it because if we stop moving, we cease to exist. And that's what lifelong learning that we always talk about is. That's why we have and we need to connect also with formal education. And that's why also formal education needs us. Because we form one united organism. And the reason that we came up in existence, we were self-invented some years ago, recently. It's because there is a real need of a structure that fits all. And creative hubs are the structures that fit all. That's us. So I think that's the most important thing that I wanted to tell you about the hubs. So the essence of belonging and the members belonging to a hub is really important, but also hubs want to belong also. We are a community, a unified community, and that's really important. So again, what is the network and why do we exist? What is our role and why do we need to be all together in a room today? Because we are facing common challenges. And we want our talents to have the opportunity to thrive globally. And that's the only way to thrive anyway today. We want also to innovate. And to innovate, we have to have the insights. We need to know the best practices. We need to have the information. We need to steal ideas. And the better way to steal is from the people doing something similar in all the rest of the world. It's the best place for getting new ideas. And of course, we need to generate new jobs for our peers because we are facilitating our ecosystem and the people around it. So, the idea of how we function and what are our activities and how they're structured nowadays, we function in 3 levels. And this is something new, it's something that we haven't discussed the last years altogether. When we started, we were addressing only to hubs. That's how we perceived the network itself. But that's not deep enough, and that's not strong enough, and it's not creating enough bonds amongst us. So we quickly understood that we had to develop programs and content that go in all levels, from the network and our joint community, which is the widest, going into each hub separately, and even to each member of each hub separately, and facilitating all the ecosystem. Because what we described like in a single hub like scale is the same for the whole. We are an interconnected organism ourselves. And that's how we should act in order to be better and evolve. So I want to go into some specifics. So to begin with, we are developing a lot of activities about the hubs, about each hub member. And we think that this is really important because the hubs are the lighthouses also in each area of the local ecosystem. And we have to make that light brighter and stronger. So, yeah. So to achieve that, and luckily enough, with the help of the Network Support Program, we have established now a permanent peer-to-peer learning program. So each year, on a permanent basis, we will have 10 people, 10 hub members visiting for a week another hub. And this will help all the peer-to-peer learning processes within all our structures. But also, in parallel, we have built a program that we're calling a staff exchange program because we realized that we still need the intel and the best practices from the other structures And to achieve that, bless you, and to achieve that, we need to see closer and on the field how this is happening, how other people are working. So this is a new project. The staff exchange program will be for 10 hub managers every year from now on. And through this program, we will try to kind of improve our skills. And of course, we will continue the publications, and we will try to highlight all best practices. So we're going to be doing a lot of editorial work that everyone is asking for many years, so that we know through case studies how everything is. So every year we will collect approximately 18 of them and put them in a publication for you, which we feel also helps collect, the collective thinking, and also comparative models and further exploration. And of course, we will have a lot of activities for the joint family, not only for the hubs. That it's going to be managed and handled by you. So the idea behind the workshops is that the members will apply to host a workshop session, and we will finance that. And so you will have the opportunity to host other members in your facilities and help them with a complete workshops is themes and also one-pager description. And we will award the best ideas, and we will also finance that activity for you. And we won't target through this activity the smaller hubs that LaVallee, a lot of webinars and online training. We are going to continue all these kind of events. Of course, I think that many of you are already familiar with the family branches that started over the pandemic outbreak. And of course, the hub meetups, like the one we're having here today, which is the very first of a series of meetups every 1 year. And it's basically for the hubs themselves. And we're going to be exploring relevant themes that we feel every time are really important and kind of boiling hot for us. But we have to realize a bit our services and how can we achieve or not behind the Hubs Alliance program. So hubs that are interested will be able to travel and have desk and working space across the whole alliance. But also this is going to be subsidized by the network. So the network is going to help and the hubs host, but also end the beneficiaries' travel. So this is an extra service for the hub members, but also something that eventually we feel that will help us kind of adjust and mutualize our services across Europe, which is really important because there's going to be a point, even though we are totally different, and even today sometimes we are competing with how do you call them? Co-working spaces, and those kind of like the spaces and we work. And there's often confusion, but also right now that's a problem that we're facing all, and we should adapt and adjust in order also to survive, because it's one of our core services, I think, for most of the hubs. So that's what the Hubs Alliance is, and it's a program that's going to be officially announced together with other programs that I mentioned right after. Go deeper. So right now, we don't feel that we are addressing only to the hubs managers, but also to the members. And who are the vision? We said that we're going to facilitate and the needs of the cultural and creative sectors and all the professionals and all the industries relating. And of course, to achieve those goals, we have established a lot of policy work. That's really important. Every year, we are focusing in a specific country, and we will do a lot of national, let's say, level work. So every year, we will do our big meetup. This year is going to be, hopefully, it's under process in Portugal. Isn't it, Tanya? Yep, in Porto and Viana di Costello. And we're going to be starting from Portugal. But the idea is that every year we will try to work with local governments in order to amplify all the relevant work for our sectors and for us, of course. And this will make us an important tool also on a local level. We will transform the local landscape to something more dynamic. We need to be the intermediate between the state and our sectors. We are those people. We are the right people. We are representing a community, and that's how we should feel at all times. And of course, we're going to be doing also a lot of policy workshops with all the local stakeholders every time to achieve that. And to be certain that we will be able to embed the so long wanted policies locally. And as I told you, all this leads to our big conferences every year, the Culture and Creativity Conferences, where we're going to invite not only the hubs themselves, but also all the cultural and creative sectors, so all our ecosystem to participate. So the Culture and Creativity Conferences will span not only within the hubs and the hubs level, but also within the creative level. And of course, an important component that we tend to forget is research. We are invested on research. So right now, we are already working on an open data repository for the CCS. And it's something that we want to interconnect with the Creatives Unite platform that we have been building, and it's already online and active. It has been mentioned also by Dubravka earlier on from our other project, Creative Flip. We want to create a CCS repository so that we can host in there all relevant research about our cultural and creative sectors and hubs. And this is really important because what is happening right now is that research is fragmented. So there's no interconnection in all the topics and chapters that are so important for us. And also there's no any kind of, we cannot cross-link the research that's been done every time. So every time that we need to find out about something, we need to go and start asking from scratch. Also, we don't have like a pan-European survey. So we do not know really what our sectors and how they are, how they behave, how they evolve, and how they struggle and how they survive. And we need that input and that data. It's really important. So what we are trying right now to do, and we are trying to have an active role within this kind of Creative Europe Networks program, we're trying to ask all the active networks in there to join us in that journey, to use collectively this open data repository to provide for our peers. It's really stupid, you know, are totally isolated, even though we're creative people and we tend to think that we have a collaborative way of thinking. That's not true. Every time I've been trying in the past to talk with another network, there are policies. Even, sometimes we're talking, we are a couple of organizations together, and there are conflicting arguments amongst us. That shouldn't be the case, because we are missing everything. We are missing out, and the losses for our communities, and that shouldn't continue. So we're starting this process, and we have already on board some first networks, but our very goal is to achieve and onboard all the 35 Creative Europe networks in this open data repository. And this is really important. And of course, to see how we can work together to change education. This is also really important. We talked a bit about this topic. We are now working with the Elia School of Network of Arts and Art Schools. I think also David, who is closely related, is here with us today. We want to closely work with those people. It's all the art schools of Europe. And we should have strong bonds with them. And this goes with the museums, with everything. We should be one, not fragmented and looking, but working all together. But I don't know why this right now doesn't happen. And I think because we are the newcomers, and as I told you, the new kind of structure, we should bring in also this new way of thinking. And education, we talked a lot earlier on about education, but we'll go through major changes the next year. And we need to be there, and they need us to be there. Well, these are the main things I wanted to talk to you about. But of course, there are many things that I did not mention. So the next period of time, we're going to slowly start rolling out the program for this year and the upcoming 3 years of this Creative Europe Networks program. But also, we're starting a lot of other new projects. Already, I think that yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, we closed the open call and we need to evaluate the new Learning Labs program. Am I correct, Dubravka? Yep. We had so many applications. We are so happy. We feel that this program is going to bring change eventually. It feels like it. Every time we run this program, we can feel it. It's so essential. And people that already conducted the program continue doing things and outside the scope of this program, which is great. We have with us today also two of our candidate PhD researchers, Colm and Lorenzo. They're there. Yep. Sorry, I didn't see you guys. I have also a light against me. They are working with a large group of researchers, specifically for rural hubs. So after the end of life of this research program, we're going to have a full spectrum of research of the specificities and the needs of those hubs. Because we see that some hubs are different and have specific differences than others. And for example, okay, the initial members were big hubs in big cities. But then we have also members in rural areas that are struggling because they have different needs. And they're facing different challenges. And we want to facilitate and find new kind of solutions for them. So we're really looking forward the results of this research program because it's going to be an amazing tool also to push policies for those hubs and to help them grow. So Lorenzo and Colm are going to be also in one of the next sessions about communities, so anyone interested should follow through. But we are working also in other territories, and we're trying to identify what's needed. Right now we are working with Tessa. Tessa is in the room from Lotozero, and we are piloting the idea of a sub-network within the network for the fashion sectors. So it's a sectoral themed sub-network. Anyone interested in fashion should join. Textiles are part of the ecosystem, aren't they? Or am I mistaken, Tessa? But you will further elaborate also in the next session together with Colm. So I think that we will have the opportunity to discuss that. But the idea behind that is that we will identify all the thematic needs that we have and create relevant subgroups in order to deepen our understanding and create what we need, the right tools we need. At this stage, I want to ask you, no, nothing. First of all, I want to invite Natasha here. Hi, Natasha.
Hello, everyone.
Use maybe the wired one.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all and meet you in person. I'm Natasha. I'm project coordinator at the European Creative Hubs Network, and I'm part of the Creative Flip team. Creative Flip is organizing activities supporting the cultural and creative sector, and it focuses in 4 key areas, which are finance, learning, innovation, and intellectual property rights. And today we want to present you the Twin Hubs program, which falls under the innovation section. Together with our partner, Goethe Institute, we are launching an open call on 21st of June, which will be open for European Creative Hubs Network members. What is Twin Hubs? Twin Hubs is a blended mobility peer-to-peer program for hubs. It is based on sister cities model, and the previous experience gained from the pilot phase of Creative Flip. Can I have the clicker? Thank you. So here you can see some photos from previous exchanges. Here is Lotozero and Stapleton working in textile, volumes, and Fab Lab Lisbon. Dinamoten and Spazio Aroello brainstorming in the yard. And here is the publication. You can find it, you can download it in the Creative Flip website. Here is a toolkit that emerged from all these collaborations and exchanges. So here we'll explain you a bit the plan, the process of the Twin Hubs, and sorry. So during 2022-2023, Creative Leap will organize and support 50 exchanges in total between the hubs. Each exchange will support a team of 2 hub representatives, hub managers and hub members. So after the end of the open call, we will a twinning process will start, which will include the matching for ECHN and GETE can help them along this process by proposing a compatible hub. So the program, the first part of officially, and the hubs will present. They will present its activities and its creative community, and this ceremony will be followed by 6 moderated monthly or bi-monthly meetings, in where the hubs will explore the topics of their interest, they will exchange knowledge, they will identify good practices. And then the second part of the blended mobility includes the physical exchanges. As I told you before, we will have 2 types of mobilities, both for hub managers and for hub members. And the online and physical exchanges will result in a final community event that will occur at the 3rd location. Here are some key figures and key dates. So 50 mobilities for hub members, 50 mobilities for hub managers, a total of 25 twinnings. And as I've told you before, we are launching the open call on 21st of June, so you can find in Creative Leap website all the necessary details to apply. That's all from me.
This is great. Thank you, Natasha. So just to say a few words about the background, because I think it's really important. Every action that we designed has a second level of goal. So what we want to achieve, and why we say that this kind of mirrors the sister hubs, the sister cities, is because we want to interconnect permanently your hubs. So we want the 2 communities becoming one. That's the idea. That's why we say that this twinning spans across a year. And also, as we said, for the first time, the traveling is going to be bidirectional. So there's going to be members from one hub visiting the other and the opposite. Usually we would have like a one-way kind of journey for the exchanges. So this is again something new. And we want, and the idea behind is that we visit and we present each other. And also that we kind of present our communities. And we get to know each other. And we wish at least that this results into further joint activities. That's the idea behind the program. Okay. I think that that's all. But I would really want to know if you have any questions or any thoughts of what was just presented. No thoughts at all? Okay, that is great. So thank you so much.